Who you gonna call?
TransFormers.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Hello friends, Tanuki Mike back again, taking a look at something I've never done before on this channel, which is a Transformer! Well, I mean, kind of. It's also like a Ghostbuster figure, but I mean, it's basically a Transformer and Ghostbusters crossover. This is ECTOTRON, who is the Ecto-1 turned into a Transformer, basically. Now, sculpt on this guy, well, I mean, it's pretty much an original design for the robot, so I mean, I can't really say anything about accuracy or character likeness, because, I mean, he's a robot. I guess he looks like a robot like he's supposed to, but I mean, Hasbro just put some cool little details in this guy in terms of his design. Like, I like the Ecto goggles he's got on the head there, and like, this, you know, it's all the decals and says his name there, the Ectotron. This is actually, a redeco of an earlier Transforming Ecto-1 Ghostbuster Ghostmobile that Hasbro did, but I mean, they sort of changed the colors up and gave him a silver chest on this one, and then the car is based on how the Ecto-1 looks in Ghostbusters, the reincarnation, what's that third Ghostbusters movie called? Oh yeah, Ghostbusters Afterlife, that's right, but I mean, you see, you got the rust on the Ecto-1, but I mean, let's talk about the robot first. I mean, what I like is that Hasbro did not skimp on the decals. Like, I mean, we got the red paint there on the fins, and we got like a little Ghostbuster logo on the back of the feet there, but I mean, what's really cool for the robot mode is like just the name tag, I guess, and like the paint that's here is clean. It's white and beige, which, you know, recalls the Ghostbuster uniforms, which is kind of cool. It's like their car transforms into one of them if you're on the Ghostbusters team, which, you know, is pretty neat. And they included a comic book with this figure where that is kind of the case at the end. It seems the cart comes alive, you know, and all of that. I mean, one of the accessories it comes with is something I'm not really going to count as an accessory, which is Proton Pack, because it should really be like, you know, attached here at all times, but it does come packaged separate, so I mean, I guess I could leave it off for now. Robot mode looks really, really cool. I don't have much more to say about it. The paint is clean. Hasbro didn't skimp out on decals. I like the design. Sculpt, I mean, pretty cool looking. But what we really need to talk about with the Transformers figure is transformation, of course. So, step one is to flip this guy down, flip that head inside, flip that back up, swivel these shoulder pads on out, raise these thingies up, put the hands in their little holsters here and here, then swing the arms on up. You gotta click them in there. Turn these things up, click them together, flip around to the feet, put these in, squish the legs together, pull these things down, push the knees on in, put these things up, flip the feet up, flip our car robot over, fold the doors down, squish the back and the front halves together, kinda. Then grab that Proton Pack and flip this part up. Keep pushing it all the way until that pops up. Then you take this blue rubber thing and you're supposed to slot this little peg into a little hole in there. It's kind of hard to see, but we'll just squish it on in. And it doesn't really stay, but the next step is to close this thing, and that, I mean, kind of helps. Not much, honestly. But take that assembled top and slot the lower half along with the rubber into the Ecto-1 and try and click the thing on here. Something like that. Anyways, and take this yellow tube and pop it in the little hole up front there. And take that blue tube and do the most annoying part of this transformation, which is slot each rubber peg into each hole in the car, and there are 3 of them, and this one is just too tight a turn for the type of thick, flexible rubber you used, Hasbro. Like, it does not want to stay in there most of the time, but I'm going to squish it and see if I can do it. Well, it took some effort, but this is kind of what it's supposed to be like. This rubber little ladder thing is most likely going to pop off when you're doing this step. Then take the wand or gun from the Proton Pack and slot it into this little hole up here. The little handle bit extending over the blue piping should help hold that in place better. Then swivel that rubber ladder on up and try and slot this little bit of it into the little rectangle cutout in the green capsule in there. And you've got yourself an Ecto-1. And I must say, friends, when this is all assembled, it is a pretty good looking Ecto-1 car. As for the transformation itself, I must say it's pretty straightforward and pretty good. The worst part definitely has to be this blue rubber hose thingy here. I mean, that is just really tough to, and it's already popping out on the side, as you can see, like, oh, pop back in now. There we go, that's a bit better. I gotta tell you, rubber pieces do not go well with transforming figures, friends, especially when you're trying to transform the proton pack into this little bunch of technical junk that's on this top of the Ecto-1, so it really makes it hard to squish it in and then like get everything flush. But everything else is pretty easy to do, honestly. And the Ecto-1 itself looks pretty great. I mean, Hasbro did not skimp out on the decals at all. It's got plates with decals that say Ecto-1, front and back license plates there, and then the front has the paint wear, which is, I mean, it's a brown, like goldish brown decal on the front there, which, you know, is accurate to how it looks in the new movie, the Afterlife movie, which is a name of the movie I finally remember. And then if we actually look at the No Ghost logo on the sides, it's got the paint cracks in it, just like it does in that movie too. So, I mean, pretty cool. I don't know how good a movie Afterlife is going to be, since it's, you know, delayed due to all kinds of stuff. But I mean, this is a pretty close to classic Ecto-1 design, thankfully. I like how it looks. Let's actually try and transform it back into a robot now. So in going from vehicle mode to robot mode, we're pretty much going to reverse the steps. Unplug the ladder from the top there and swivel it on down. Take the proton wand out, like that. Then take this thing out, which should be very easy to do. And don't forget our yellow tube up front. Then unslot what was the proton pack out of the whole thing on top. Just trying to detach the rear end of the vehicle I find pretty difficult if you don't sort of crack the legs apart first, and then you can kind of extend the knees without even having to flip these things open. They just slide out pretty easy, actually. But open them if you have to, and then close them back up and flip the feet down. Also flip these rear parts of the feet that stabilize the figure on out. They pop back in really easily when he's standing, so make sure they are out. Legs are done. Pull the side panels towards you a little and down, and then push them on up and back like that. Split the top half apart and bring it on down. Rotate a left arm, rotate a right arm. Let the arms come on down. Pull the hands out. Push this part down and rotate the top. Flip down the chest, pull out a head, flip chest up, and then we're back to ECTOTRON in robot mode. Now comes the fun part, transforming this thingy back into a proton pack. Flip the red thing down. Put that down and turn that all the way up. Now this yellow tube you can actually attach a little part way up here. Make sure you push it in so that that yellow lip also goes in, because this thing will just slide on out otherwise. Flip ECTOTRON around, and this little plastic tab on our proton pack is going to get wedged at the little gap in between his lights right there, while the rest of the proton pack just kind of goes in between that big old gap and covers it up to make it look a little bit nicer. Bend his arm up forward and take that proton wand thingy, and has a big peg here on the bottom. You are going to put that in as the handle. This peg on the back also works, but it has a hole which fits that rubber blue hose perfectly. If we just jam that on in the little hole. Come on, is it in it? Does it fit? Maybe we need some lube. Oh man, innuendo. And there's ECTOTRON holding a proton pack with a gun wand kind of thing. It's pretty cool. My big complaint with this is it falls off really, really easy. I wish those tabs were a little thicker, a little sturdier. I mean, maybe he could have clicked into the plastic down here again, like he does when he's, you know, in a car mode, but I don't know, whatever, Hasbro. It works, which is all I really ask of you. Alternatively, you can take that proton wand out of his hand, and you can take the little peg right here and sort of slot it. Well, maybe it's easier without that blue hose in there, but you can slot. Oh, maybe it's easier without the proton pack on his back, too. But you can slot it in this little hole up here, according to our instructions. And I mean, it's kind of tough to see on camera, but like, there it is. It's in there. And then, I mean, I think you're just supposed to put it back on the back when it's on the back, but realistically speaking, there we go. That's how it's supposed to go on there. And then we're going to put the proton back on there, and he's got a holstered proton wand. But alternatively, you can take that proton wand and put it in this peg hole, because the yellow wire can also go tabbed into this little hidden hole underneath the movable part on the proton pack. And then it dangles a bit more, but the proton wand looks a bit more presentable and film accurate. Pegged on the other side. And indeed, this is how the instructions want you to do it, but like that blue rubber hose does not want to cooperate most of the time. Like you are not going to move this proton wand around with the rubber hose attached. You're going to move it, detach this thing, and then reattach it. But there it is, holstered on the other side in an alternate configuration there. So transforming back into robot from vehicle mode, a lot easier than going to vehicle mode, mostly because you do not have to worry about tabbing this blue rubber thing into all the little slots on top of the car to get it just right. So I like transforming him into robot, and I'm probably going to keep him as a robot because he's sort of like a Ghostbuster in this mode. Now, if we start looking at articulation, so he can swivel his arms up and down pretty much 90-degree range. It can go a little up above the horizontal plane and pretty much down to the vertical plane on both sides there. The head kind of seems like it's on a ball joint or something, but that's really just you moving the joint for the transformation feature. It does swivel all the way around though, which is nice. Arms come out about so far, and then they can swivel up more with the shoulder moving up also. Swivel all the way around at the elbow too, and they can bend exactly 90 at that elbow. No swivel at the hands, unfortunately. And no swivel or anything at the waist, unfortunately. Thighs get swivels, thankfully. There are single knees hidden in the black joint down in the giant shin armor thing. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I've seen better on Transformers before, Hasbro. I mean, it would have been nice to at least get waist articulation or something. But, I mean, this is decent for what it is. Not too bad. Packaging for this guy was actually really cool. It comes on a giant-sized blister card with old-school-style artwork all around on it. Even got those grid lines that Generation 1 Transformers toys had. An old two-worded Transformers logo down there. An old-school Hasbro logo. Dang, that's cool. Speaking of logos, we've got this Ghostbusters Cross or X, you know, Transformers one. It says 2021. I mean, it's weird that Ghostbusters gets 20, Transformers gets 21. I mean, it's just the year. It's kind of like whatever it is. And it says more than meets the eye, and the on more is a little Autobot symbol, which I guess is kind of neat. Up on the back, we can see the comic book, which we'll take a look at in a second. Got some cool artwork of the robot and the vehicle mode on the side, obviously. Other side doesn't have anything. You can just see through to the little figures and accessories in there. And then on the back, we got this, you know, alien Optimus Prime, I like to call him, I guess, but I mean, it's the Gen 1 artwork, I guess. And a statistics card, which pretty cool. He's a paranormal investigator, ECTOTRON is, and his function is to inspect paranormal stuff. When life splatters with marshmallow goo, just go with it. When the Ghostbusters need a ride to the next paranormal hotspot, it's nice to have one who can also handle a proton pack. I think his proton pack's like built in, so I mean, whatever. Also a bunch of tape on the back. I mean, Hasbro really laid it on thick, I guess, because this is such a sort of big figure for a, you know, blister card. I guess Gen 1 Transformers were, you know, a little bit smaller, but I wouldn't really know. I never really opened them in the package, but let's open this guy up. Ooh, that is some cool logo packaging insert stuff. Oh, well, it's for the comic book. Still cool. Well, that grid pattern was all over in the back. Didn't really notice it when I was, you know, blocked by the figure and such. Got another little insert. I guess these are the transformation instructions, which, you know, I probably already read and did the transformation in the video if you're watching this now. And then to get ECTOTRON out, slide the tray out, and I see some sock ties around the knees. We're gonna have to cut. And one big one around the chest, too. I think that should do it. Let's see if we can pop him out after that. Oh, no, forgot some around the arms here, which are actually very hard to see. And then he pretty much comes out. So packaging definitely looks cool. I mean, I think it could be a bit easier to open. It's kind of big, bulky, and relies on tape too much. I mean, but when you consider that this is like pretty much like a collector's item, I mean, because it's a crossover with Ghostbusters, I mean, they really should do something to secure that clamshell a bit more. I mean, I'm glad there's tape rather than just glue, because this is way too big to be supported with glue, but like, tape they used wasn't really sticking too well. I pretty much just peeled it open, didn't have to cut it if I didn't want to. Still, packaging looks good. Now for accessories, ECTOTRON gets that proton pack we saw earlier along with the gun, but I wouldn't really count that or those, depending on if you want to consider this one piece or two, as an accessory since it is necessary for his vehicle mode after all. So really his only accessories are these two ghosts he gets, one green, one blue. And then this awesome packing comic. Like, look at that artwork on there. It's Ghosts of Cybertron Part 1, and then the Ghostbusters are there, and so is ECTOTRON right on the cover. But unfortunately, he is looking like his first release version, and not this redeco based on Ghostbusters Afterlife that we're looking at today, which, you know, he probably should since this comic came packaged with this figure, you know. But I will say this comic book is actually pretty cool. I mean, just thumbing through it here, it looks like we got robot terror dogs and Gozer, the Gozerian, as a Transformer, which, you know, she shows up to Cybertron and kills the Decepticons, and the Decepticons come back as ghosts and cause trouble on Earth where the Autobots team up with the Ghostbusters, and then, eventually, you know, Ecto-1 becomes a Transformer, or a Transformer takes the form of Ecto-1, maybe? You know, I'm not going to spoil the story for anybody, but there are some really cool cover arts at the back here that have ECTOTRON in them. along with one where he's got Optimus Prime, and Optimus Prime's decked out like a Ghostbuster. I think that's really cool. I mean, it's kind of like Hasbro to make like a Ghostbuster Optimus Prime, but it wouldn't make as much sense as this, which is ECTOTRON as the Ecto-1 being a Transformer, you know? Still, really cool comic book to include with the figure. And the ghosts are kind of cool, too. They're just rubbery. I mean, this green one is obviously like Slimer. I wish his face were painted a little, like just some yellow teeth, yellow eyes. That's all we really need, but I like the transparent plastic they used. And then this blue ghost is, well, he's got 6 arms. I don't know who he is, but I mean, hey, 2 ghosts better than 1, I guess, right? Anyways, each of the ghosts have these little pegs in their butts, for lack of a better term, and the only peg I found that's sized appropriately is on the edge of the wand for the proton pack, and you can just kind of put him in there and have him sit on the gun, which means if ECTOTRON holds the gun like that, he can have Slimer on there, but he doesn't have like wrist articulation or the articulation to like point the gun forward when he's holding it like this, so it's, I don't know what's going on with this imagery here is kind of, what is Slimer or the blue ghost, if you prefer to pop him on here, like, because you can, because the peg holes are the same size, obviously. What are they doing? Just sitting on the gun, I guess. I mean, maybe it works better in vehicle mode. Yep, it definitely does, because when we're in vehicle mode, the gun for the proton pack rests on its side on the top of the Ecto-1 or ECTOTRON. Is he the Ecto-1 when he transforms into a vehicle? But I mean, whatever. That means that peg is up there, and then Slimer or the blue ghost can tag along for a little ride. If you're going to include 2 accessories, I kind of wish like we had 2 pegs at least somewhere on here. I haven't found another one, maybe this little white thing, but I mean, I can't do it because the red thing's in the way, so I don't... whatever, you know, nice to get more accessories, I guess, right? Scale time. As a robot, ECTOTRON stands about 7¼ inches or 18 centimeters tall. And for comparison, as always, here he is next to my 6-inch Batman and Spider-Man, Transformers Prime Optimus Prime, Generations Megatron, and Hasbro's Ghostbusters from the Plasma Collection. So at the end of the day, friends, I am ultimately going to recommend this figure, Transformer, toy, whatever you want to call him, despite him being kind of a mixed bag here and there. Like, just the very concept of the Ecto-1 transforming into a Ghostbuster and like fighting alongside the team is so cool, and it is executed here so well in the sculpt and the paint and the transformation for the most part. Like, I mean, my real gripes with this figure, my like 2 biggest ones are with the transformation, the tabs and the blue rubber thing, like they are just not strong enough, and then the bottom tabs on the proton pack when you're trying to put it on his back, that's also just not strong enough. That proton pack falls out way too easily when it's a backpack. I mean, it's fine when it's on top of the car, but like the other time it's too tough. And then when we're trying to put it on top of the car, the blue rubber hose gets in the way, and I think that whole thing could be better. The rest of the transformation is good. The articulation is good, I guess. I mean, I think we could have gotten more articulation, honestly, but hey, this is a Transformer, not a super articulated comic book, you know, figure. So I think like too much articulation could sort of make the transformation too hard. I think what we got is like just the right amount. Sculpt and the paint were great. I have those issues with the transformation. Accessories are great. I mean, we got a little Slimer figure here made of rubber and a little blue ghost whose name I don't really know. Maybe I'll read that IDW comic this guy came packaged with. Oh, we got the comic book too. That's right. Maybe I'll read that and then I'll find out who the blue ghost is. But if you know his name or what he's from, I mean, tell me in the comments, because I really have no idea, friends. But we got 2 ghosts, and that's more than enough, I think. I would have been happy with just the proton pack and the wand there. So I really do recommend this guy, and unless you have the original version, I'd say go out and get this redeco, because he is awesome! Well, until next time, peace out, YouTube!